What is better, Powerball or Mega Millions? We're going to explore the differences between these two lottery giants and see if we can determine which one is better. Number 9. Odds of winning. The Powerball and Mega Millions lotteries are pretty evenly matched in a lot of ways, but there's one very important element where you'll find a difference: the odds. We all want better odds for hitting the jackpot. That's why we play in the first place. So if one lottery has better odds than the other, that makes it much easier to choose which lottery to play, right? Well, there's a difference in the jackpot odds between these two lotteries. And we have the numbers. Most people guess that the Powerball must be harder to win, but it's actually the other way around. The Mega Millions is slightly more difficult to win, with jackpot winning odds of just over 1 to 305,000, while the Powerball jackpot odds are about 1 to 292,000. These numbers are pretty new. The rules for both lotteries were changed a few months ago, and now it's a lot harder to win the jackpot. They did this for a reason. It's all to ensure the jackpots keep breaking records. The harder it is to win, the more rollovers there are, and that means bigger jackpots. In other words, if you want to win $1 billion jackpot, you have to accept that your chances to win will be lower. It seems to be working so far. 6 out of the top 10 biggest jackpots ever were won in 2022 or 2023. That would never have happened if they hadn't lowered your odds of winning. But that's not the only rule that the lotteries changed. Another rule seriously affected the next point on our list. It might sound a lot like what we just mentioned, but it's actually very different. But what is it? Number 8. Your odds of winning a smaller prize. There's a lot of talk about big jackpots these days, and it's easy to see why, with so many of those prizes reaching more than $1 billion. Of course, that's the prize we'd all like to get our hands on. But a lot of people don't realize that you don't have to win the jackpot to take home a seriously impressive prize. The Powerball and Mega Millions lotteries both have 8 prize tiers other than the jackpot. These all depend on how many numbers you guess correctly. For both lotteries, the smallest prize is awarded to people who guess the Powerball or Mega Ball. The next step up is one number plus the Mega Ball or Powerball, all the way up to the second tier prize, which is 5 correctly guessed numbers without a correct Powerball or Mega Ball. The second tier prize is the one just one step down from the coveted jackpot. You'll be glad to hear that when these two big lotteries made jackpots harder to win, they also made another change to their rules. They made smaller tier prizes much easier to win than they used to be. Currently, your odds for winning any prize, from the lowest tier to the jackpot, is just 1 in 24. And that's the same for both the Mega Millions and Powerball. That's a lot better than the average 1 in 300,000 chance of winning a jackpot. Even with the jackpot included in those odds, 1 in 24 isn't bad. Logically, that means if you buy just 2 tickets per month, you're bound to get a win once a year. The Mega Millions has 2 draws per week, so if you buy 3 tickets for every draw, you're likely to get 1 win per month. But Powerball draws are more frequent. If you buy 2 tickets with the 1 in 24 odds, you're likely to get a win in a month. Those odds sound pretty good, right? But even though the odds are clearly in your favor, we haven't discussed what kinds of prizes you're playing for. Are the lower tier prizes different in the Powerball than they are in the Mega Millions? The short answer is yes. Let's take a look at which one is better. Number 7. The size of non-jackpot prizes. So you know now that you have a good chance of winning some kind of prize if you buy a lottery ticket. But with the odds stacked against you when it comes to winning the jackpot, you also know that the prize you win probably won't be the big one. That means it's pretty important to discuss the other prizes on offer if you really want to separate the Powerball and the Mega Millions. Which one offers bigger lower tier prizes? We have the answers. The lowest tier prize is awarded to anyone who guesses only the Powerball or Mega Ball. In other words, you only need to guess one number to win something. But there's a big difference between the prize you get from the 2 lotteries for that correct guess. If you correctly guess the Mega Ball, you'll win a prize of $2. Sure, it's not a lot, but let's remember that you only guessed one number right in this case. Still, there's a big difference between the Mega Millions and Powerball here. In fact, if you play the Powerball, you can win double the money for this prize tier. Yes, it's still only $4, but it's double what the Mega Millions is offering. So does that trend continue across all prize tiers? The answer is no. Prize Tier 8 carries the same prize for both lotteries, and by Prize Tier 7, the lotteries have swapped places, with the Mega Millions offering the bigger prize. Prize Tier 7 means you matched two numbers plus the ball. In this case, the Powerball offers you only $7, while the Mega Millions will hand over $10. Prizes for the next tier up, which requires you to guess three numbers but not the ball, carries the same prize as Tier 7 in both lotteries. But if you can match three numbers plus the ball for Tier 5, then the prizes become worth talking about. And there's a big difference between the two lotteries again. If you played the Powerball, they offer $100 to winners of that prize tier. But the Mega Millions is much more generous. They hand over $200. I think we'd all be pretty happy for that bonus. Match four numbers but not the ball, and there's a huge difference between the two lotteries again. But the Mega Millions stays out in front. While the Powerball sticks to only $100, the same as the lower tier, the Mega Millions goes even bigger, giving you an impressive $500. To win the Tier 3 prize, you need to match four numbers plus the ball. But if you're expecting the Mega Millions to be as generous with this prize as they were for lower tier winners, you're gonna be disappointed. This is where the Powerball starts to pull way out in front. Guess four numbers and the Mega Ball, and you'll be going home with 10 grand. Sure, it's a good prize, but the Powerball beats it by miles. The third tier prize, for four numbers plus the Powerball guessed correctly, is a whopping 50 grand. That's 5 times more than the Mega Millions. But that's where the differences end for lower tier prizes. If you match 5 numbers but miss the Powerball or Mega Ball, you'll win the second tier prize, which is $1 million for players of both lotteries. That's a pretty great prize, but it doesn't stop there. There's a way you can increase your prize money, but does that work the same way for both lotteries? Let's find out. Number 6. Multipliers. Both the Mega Millions and Powerball lotteries have a feature called a multiplier. It's exactly what it sounds like. Add this feature onto your ticket for an additional fee, and you stand a chance to multiply your prize. But this feature works very differently for these two lottery giants. On Powerball tickets, this feature is called the Power Play, while the Mega Millions calls it the Megaplier. You've probably spotted it on your tickets before. For both lotteries, it costs just $1 per ticket to add this feature, and it doesn't affect the jackpot prize. But all other prizes are affected. Once you've drawn the multiplier, you'll need to watch the draw even more closely. A multiplier ball is drawn that determines what number your prize will be multiplied by. But the Powerball offers much better potential to anyone who added the Power Play to their ticket. The maximum number for your Mega Millions prize can be multiplied by 5. Obviously, that's a great bonus, especially if you won the second tier prize. Basically, it means that if the Megaplier number 5 is drawn, your $1 million prize turns into $5 mil. But the Powerball doesn't stop at 5. It gives you the chance to multiply your prize by 10. That's an amazing bonus. Of course, you're not guaranteed a number 10 multiplier, but the lottery is a game of chance, and we think a chance of winning a prize 10 times as big is much better than just 5. But that's not the only thing you need to consider when playing the lottery. We haven't even discussed the most basic part of buying a ticket yet. Number 5. Ticket cost. Before any of these odds or add-ons become important, you first need to actually buy a ticket. And that brings us to another important part of playing any lottery: the cost of the ticket. Obviously, if one lottery charges a lot more than the other, that would make it easier to choose the best one to play. Unfortunately, that's not the case. At this moment, Powerball and Mega Millions tickets both cost $2. That might also explain another way that they're similar. They both have the same starting jackpot. They both start at $20 million and grow with each draw when there's no winner. Remember to only buy tickets when you have $2 to spare. People forget that the $2 you pay for a ticket isn't an investment. We've already spoken about how the odds are against you, but if that wasn't enough, there's another pessimistic way to separate these two lottery games. Number 4. Expected returns. Not many people talk about expected returns on a lottery ticket. Normally, expected returns are used to determine if an investment is going to pay off. But smart people have worked out what you can expect to earn by buying lottery tickets. And honestly, it doesn't look good. But that's not a surprise. Nobody buys lottery tickets expecting to make a profit. We're buying a dream when we pick up a ticket, right? If you're buying tickets expecting to win, that can be a mistake. You should only do it for fun. But even if the expected returns aren't important to most of us, it's an interesting way to work out whether you should play the Powerball or Mega Millions. Let's take the jackpot prizes out of the equation, mostly because they can be anything from 20 million to 2 billion. It would be impossible to cover all of that. We're only including lower tier prizes in these stats. When you buy a $2 ticket for Mega Millions, the expected payout is only around 25 cents. That means an expected loss of $1.75. Expected returns on the Powerball does look a little different. For every $2 ticket, the expected payout is around 32 cents, meaning you can expect a loss of $1.68. Let's blow up these numbers to get some perspective. If you bought 5 Mega Millions tickets for each drawing, you'll spend $1,040 over the year. If you did that, you could expect a return of about $128. But if you did the same thing with the Powerball lottery, spending just over $1,040 in total, you'd have won about $166 over the year. If you look at it that way, the Powerball lottery is a slightly better game to play, no matter what the jackpots are. That's probably because its second and third tier prizes are so much bigger. But clearly, no investment manager in the world would recommend either of them as a good investment. Don't worry, like we said, that's not what we're playing for. But whatever your reason is for playing, you might not be able to buy a ticket in the first place. Let's take a look if you have the opportunity to choose between the two games. Number 3. States you can play in. If you've been playing the lottery for years, you might not realize that some states don't have them. And there's a difference between the Mega Millions and the Powerball when you look at where they can be played. You can participate in the Powerball draw in 45 states, as well as Washington, D.C., the Virgin Islands, and Puerto Rico. But if you're in Alabama, Alaska, Hawaii, Nevada, or Utah, we're sorry to say you're gonna miss out. Like the Powerball, you won't find Mega Millions tickets in Alabama, Alaska, Hawaii, Nevada, or Utah. But this time, Puerto Rico's missing out too. That's the biggest difference between the two lotteries. But it does mean that if you're in Puerto Rico, that makes the Powerball an easy choice. You literally don't have another option. But there's something else to consider. More states means more people playing, and more people playing means more money in the jackpot. So the Powerball might have the edge there too. We'll take a look at that in a moment. But first, we should probably address another state-related lottery problem. Remember we mentioned multipliers earlier? Well, California residents might have been a little confused about that. Unfortunately, in California, you can't add the Megaplier or Power Play to your ticket. This is because of a complicated law that basically means the prize pool is divided up evenly. Sometimes, this means that lower-tier winners in California are sometimes paid out more than the advertised amount automatically, even without the option of a multiplier. So it's not all bad. Speaking of states, you might be wondering where the most winners are. Well, we've got that info for you. And more importantly, we know which lottery has paid out the most winners. Number 2. The number of winners. Not everyone is interested in odds and returns. Some of you will be asking, which lottery has the most big winners? And it's a really good question. Of course, we have the answer. Since 2002, there have been an impressive 240 Powerball jackpot winners, but there have also been 239 Mega Millions winners. That's close enough that it's basically a tie. The luckiest Powerball state is Indiana, which is home to 39 jackpot winners. Mega Millions' luckiest state is New York, with a whopping 43 jackpot winners. We don't know if those stats will change your mind about which game you want to play, but maybe you'll consider yourself lucky if you live there. But this brings us to maybe the most important element to help you make up your mind. Number 1. Jackpot sizes. Finally, the moment we've all been waiting for. Does the Powerball or the Mega Millions offer the biggest jackpots? The answer is, they're almost neck and neck. If you take a look at the top 10 biggest jackpots ever, Powerball has 5 of them, and Mega Millions has the other 5. That means we need to analyze it a little closer. Currently, Powerball holds the 10th spot with a $768 million jackpot. Mega Millions has the 9th spot, Powerball is 8th, and then Mega Millions has the next 3 places, with a $1.537 billion jackpot in 5th. Then Powerball comes in 4th with a close $1.586 billion jackpot that was split between 3 winners in 2016. Now we're getting into the top 3. Next is Mega Millions with the $1.6 billion jackpot that was won in August 2023. That was the second biggest jackpot of all time when the draw happened. But it was very recently knocked off its placing, with the new second biggest jackpot ever being stolen by Powerball on October 11, 2023. That Powerball jackpot was $1.765 billion. And you probably already know that the biggest jackpot of all time was a Powerball jackpot won in November 2022. Everyone was talking about the $2.04 billion jackpot that went to Edwin Castro. So Powerball is currently in first and second place when it comes to the biggest jackpots. But as we've seen, that's not a stable position. Powerball could be dethroned at any moment, and Mega Millions already isn't far behind. We suggest buying tickets based on which lottery is offering the biggest jackpot for the draw you want to play. But that's not what you came here for. You want to know which game is better. So what's the verdict? Should you be playing Mega Millions or Powerball? Right now, we think Powerball has a slight edge over Mega Millions, especially because its high payout lower-tier prizes are way bigger than those offered by Mega Millions, and you even have the chance to increase it to 10 times the amount instead of just 5 if you choose. But as you've seen, in most ways they're pretty even. It's all down to personal preference. Maybe instead of choosing a game you stick to, try playing for the biggest jackpot. Speaking of biggest jackpots, what's the biggest winner of all time currently spending his billions on? We know. We can give you an inside look at the purchases that have demolished 10% of his winnings over the last few months. You don't want to miss this.